What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. It is just before 3:30 in the morning at the time of this recording of this video, and we just by the time this one comes out, my Brock Besser goodbye video will be out, and for who knows as well, by the time this video comes out, Brock Besser may have also signed with another team. Now, this video is not about Brock Besser. This video is about and begs the question, who's left for the Canucks free agent-wise? Especially by the time this video comes out. Now, I will be posting this before free agency, kicks. This video will come out before 9 a.m., before the official free agency window opens. But I wanted to go over an article that talks about this very question. And that's who's left for the Canucks. They go over some names that you may have heard of. Names like Jack Roslovic, Michael Granlund, even though that looks like that the Canucks are out of that race, and it's going to take a miracle for the Canucks to land a guy like Michael Granlund. There's some other names that we haven't really talked about that are a part of this little list that Canucks Army has done up. Actually, Tyson Cole of Canucks Army, I should say, has put up a little list of players that free agents that the Canucks could potentially target and could potentially land. But before we get into that list, I want to give a big shout out to my sponsor, Gassy Jack Art, maker of that incredible artwork you see there behind me. And if you guys would like artwork such as that, go ahead and check out GassyJackArt.com. I believe he still has his end of season sale going on where you can get 4 prints and 2 of them will be free. So you're technically only paying for 2. You guys can also check him out on Instagram at GassyJackArt. So go ahead, check him out, GassyJackArt.com, or check him out on Instagram. So let's go ahead and dive into our topic. And that is NHL free agency came early, so who's left for the Canucks? So let's go ahead and take a look at this article written by, as I mentioned, Tyson Cole. And he goes on to say, well, the fun of free agency kind of got sucked out within the span of an hour on Monday afternoon when all the big fish on the market seemed to re-sign with their teams. As we covered in our latest NHL Notebook, Mitch Marner was traded and subsequently extended by the Vegas Golden Knights. Brad Marchand and Aaron Ekblad re-signed with the Florida Panthers. That whole Brad Marchand contract thing still blows my mind. While Ivan Provorov re-upped with the Columbus Blue Jackets, but none of these guys were realistic targets for the Vancouver Canucks. There were a handful of moves and re-signings that occurred on Monday that the Canucks could have pursued. And this one cuts deep for me. Ex-Canuck Andrei Kuzmenko could have been an option if he hadn't re-signed with the Los Angeles Kings on a 1-year deal. A playmaking winger in Matias Michelli and a scoring winger in Vladimir Tarasenko were traded, one for cheap and one for future considerations. Who is this future considerations guy? Sounds good. So with free agency just a few hours away, who's left out there for the Canucks? Let's take a look at who's left. Heading into, this says tomorrow, but technically, 5 or 6 hours from now? The Canucks don't have a ton of cap space to work with just a little over $7 million in cap space. They sit with the 9th least cap space in the league heading into free agency with a few holes on their roster. Here's how the Canucks stack up with the players currently under contract, and they go by line. So on your first line, you have Jake DeBrusk, Elias Pettersson, EP40, who is staying. His no-move clause officially kicked in, so he ain't going nowhere. And they also have Niels Höglander on the first line on the right wing. Then you have your second line of Evander Kane, Philip Hedl, and Kiefer Sherwood. Not quite sure why they have Sherwood in the second column. second line column. Then you have Dakota Joshua, Teddy Bluger, and Connor Garland, who by the time this video comes out may very well have extended with the Vancouver Canucks. I'll be doing a video on that a little bit later. Drew O'Connor, Atu Ratu, and Linus Karlsson. Then we get into the D pairings. Quinn Hughes, Philip Hronik, Marcus Pettersson, Tyler Myers, Derek Forbort, and Elias Pettersson, EP25. And then, of course, Thatcher Demko and Kevin Lankinen. Of course, by the time this video comes out, Thatcher Demko may very well have been extended as well. Then you had your extras. You have Max Sasson, Jonathan Lekaramaki, and Victor Mancini. Realistically, to be a contender in the Western Conference, they're likely a top 6 scoring forward and a second-line center away. However, with just over $7 million of cap space, they won't be able to fix both of those issues, potentially not even one. Examining the current free agent market, it appears bleak for high-end talent. 5 unrestricted free agent forwards scored 40 or more points last season. Sadly, 2 of which are Canucks. Michael Granlund, Nikolai Ehlers, Brock Besser, Pius Suter, and Evgeny Dadanov are those 5 players. Barring a last-minute miracle, Besser and Suter are heading to market and looking for a new home. Now, at the time of this recording, Canucks and Suter are trying to work on something, but we're not sure if it's going to get done, as they have circled back on Pius Suter, as obviously they haven't been able to find that second-line center, so they're circling back on Suter. If they do extend Suter, we will, of course, cover it here on the line change. At 36 years old, Dadanov doesn't move the needle for what the Canucks are looking for right now. I'll admit he doesn't move the needle for me, but honestly, at this point, anything is better than nothing. Ehlers comes with a hefty price tag that will likely price him out of Vancouver. I also think Ehlers will likely land in potentially Montreal. That leaves Granlund. He hits the second-line center void the Canucks are looking for, but coming off his best season since 2017-2018 with the Minnesota Wild, the 33-year-old Finn will likely look to cash in while the iron's hot. Granlund finished the 2024-2025 campaign with 22 goals and 66 points, 45 points in San Jose and 21 points in Dallas, not to mention his outstanding performance on the international stage at the Four Nations Faceoff. AFB Analytics have Granlund at a reasonable $4 million cap hit, or $4,975,000, so just under $5 million on a 2-year deal. However, with him now being the top center available, that number will likely creep into the $6-7 million range on a 3 to 4 year deal. Canucks are reportedly expected to pursue Granlund on July 1st, so if they're going to be competitive with their offer, they'll have to shoot high like this. And I'll also mention, if they do want to try and, pursue him, even though it's looking like the Canucks are out of the race, they're going to have to spend all of their cap on Granlund if they even want a chance at signing him. Outside of the top point scoring forwards, Jack Roslovic, Christian Dvorak, Anthony Mantha, Nick Bukestad, Gustav Nyquist, and Radek Faksa could provide surplus value as secondary options. None of these guys really fit the mold of the type of game-changing player the Canucks seek, but really there isn't much out there that does. Roslovic and Nyquist are players that the Canucks have had interest in the past, Roslovic being the more desired name of the two after tying his career high in goals, 22, with the Carolina Hurricanes this year. The 28-year-old could be primed for an elevated role in the lineup. He does have history playing center, but he's done his best work on the wing. Will he be the 2C answer? Likely not, but could he be a decent middle six center tandem to pair with, say, Filipino? Probably. AFP Analytics has Roslovic projected to earn just a little over $4 million on a 3-year contract as a perennial 40-point producer. It's a fine projection with the salary cap rising. This might be a better long-term option than overpaying for Michael Granlund. Some lower-end, younger, offensively talented forwards stick out on the list that could be intriguing as reclamation project. Philip Tomasino and Michael Easimon have all shown upside at the NHL level, while Jacob Pelletier, a former first-round pick, could be worth a flyer. However, my favorite forward who fits this bill and could provide some scoring help, potentially in the top 6, is Victor Olofsson. With the Golden Knights' cap trouble after acquiring and signing Mitch Marner earlier, they don't have the money to retain Olofsson's services. Olofsson is a Swedish winger known for his goal-scoring ability. Through his first 6 seasons in the NHL, Olofsson has scored at a 20-goal pace in 5 of those years, scoring a career-high 28 goals in 2022-2023 with the Buffalo Sabres. AFP Analytics have him projected at just north of $3 million, or actually just under $3.5 million, I should say. Cap hit over a 3-year deal. That price seems a little high, but with the Canucks needing to find goal-scoring help, a player with the upside to play in a second-line role alongside Hedl could be an interesting pivot option if the Canucks strike out aiming higher. To a lesser extent, Philip Tomasino is another player whom we wouldn't mind the Canucks taking a shot on. However, does that just cloud the already crowded bottom 6 heading into next year? Regardless of the players available, Canucks management will attempt to utilize their cap space to improve this team. However, the options are bland and may not move the needle that gets this team over the hump to contender status. Unless we have a trade, it will be challenging for the Canucks to make a significant move on July 1 that will leave fans excited about the upcoming 2025-2026 season, given their expected option on the free agent market. So there's that article written by Tyson Cole. A very interesting read. And now, obviously, out of that list of names, obviously, I like the idea of Jack Roslovic. I've talked about him on this channel before. Does he move the needle? No, but like what I said, something is better than nothing at this point. Keep in mind, Roslovic is also young, and I do think he has some upside. And I just would like to see Roslovic in a Canucks jersey. He would obviously be a cheap option for them, so they could go that route. They could go the Evgeny Dadonov route, although I'm not too high on him, due to his age, as well as, he just, as I mentioned, he doesn't move the needle for me. There's also Victor Olofsson. I do like the idea of him being a 20-goal scorer, and do think he could be relatively cheap, but at the same time, doesn't really move the needle for me personally. He may move the needle for you, but just to me, he doesn't really move the needle. You had Philip Tomasino. I don't know too much about Tomasino or Michael Easimon. So yeah, those could be options, like a cheap options for the Vancouver Canucks. You also had, who was it? Gustav Nyquist, again, a little bit on the older side. He could be maybe a short-term thing, but between Nyquist and Roslovic, obviously I lean towards Roslovic, but he could be an option as well. You also have Christian Dvorak was mentioned, Anthony Mantha. I actually wouldn't mind Anthony Mantha, as he is a big body and he's got some toughness to him. Obviously, people want more toughness here on this Canucks team. Of course, you have Nick Bjugstad, who could be an option. I don't know too much about Bjugstad or Radek Faksa, but they also could be options as well. Obviously, I was fully in the Granlund basket or camp, or whichever term you want to use. I was fully on board for him, but that's looking very bleak. Obviously, the Canucks have not only inquired, but they also tried to get Marco Rossi, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And as of the recording of this video, he's still a part of the Minnesota Wild. So maybe the Wild don't end up even actually trading him. They may just realize we're just going to keep him. We're not getting offers that we like, or a player in return that we want. So we're just going to have to keep him and just suck it up. But hey, if Rossi is available, say, at the deadline or next season, absolutely, I would undoubtedly hop back onto the Marco Rossi train. I do think maybe the Canucks might take another stab at it. Who knows? But those are just some options that the Canucks have. Obviously, I mentioned that they are circling back on Pius Suter, and that could very well end up being the case. They could end up just re-signing Suter. They may just have to bite the bullet and pay the man, as they don't have very many options left. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about these names that I just threw out there? You know, your Roslovic, your Nyquist, Dvorak, Mantha, maybe even Jacob Pelletier. We didn't really talk about him too much. He's obviously very young and needs probably. I don't know too much about Pelletier. I do know he was with the Flames, and he was let go by the Flames, so he could be some youth added to this lineup, and the Canucks could maybe help him grow. Who knows? But once again, let me know what you guys think about this list. Who would you guys pick out of this list? And what do you think the Canucks are going to do for free agency? You know, they don't have a whole lot of cap space, and seems like they're kind of handcuffed right now. And it definitely makes, at least me, I don't know about you guys, but it makes me think, how did we even get into this mess? I mean, obviously we know how, and makes you really think, what if, JT Miller and PD did get along and that there wasn't a rift between the two? We'd probably still have JT Miller right now, and we'd probably we would either be re-signing Besser or have him extended at this point. What if? Who knows? But I guess that's what comes with being a Canucks fan. So once again, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about these names, and who do you guys think they're gonna land come free agency. Obviously, as I mentioned, I'm going to be on Camping Canucks for his stream that he's doing, 3-hour live stream for free agency. I will be on at about 10:30, and he's also going to have Canucks Uncensored on there as well. So go ahead, check out Camping Canucks starting at 10 a.m. And we're going to talk free agency, hockey, maybe a little bit about the draft. Go ahead, check them out. Trust me, you're not going to regret it. But if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. If you want to connect with us on social media or find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook, search The Line Change to find our Facebook page. Find us on Instagram at The Line Change. Find us on X at Line Change Fan. You can find us on TikTok at the.line.change.po. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. If you prefer an audio version of this podcast, find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow as well as rate and review us. It is, of course, greatly appreciated. That's going to do it for me in this video. As always, go Canucks go, and I'll see you guys next time.